Today I'm on the Scrapbook and Cards Today Magazine blog with a brand new layout featuring the Carta Bella Paper Here, There, and Everywhere collection. This is one of the collections that was featured in the 10 Most Wanted column of the summer 2023 issue, and I had so much fun playing with these beautiful papers. I love the beautiful sage green, the yellow, the soft blue, the soft green, there's even blush, coral pink, just so much fun for this picture of my daughter. Now the first thing I did was to map my photos and pick out my papers for this layout. I decided to go with the solid sage green paper. I matted that onto the soft blue daisy pattern, and now I'm going to add this photo onto some layered strips. I'm going to go with the yellow gingham and then onto the sage green floral. Now this picture is of my daughters. They are in the backyard just shooting some silly selfies, and I really love the expression on my older daughter's face. You can see that my younger daughter is kind of peeking her head in on that top left corner, which is kind of silly, and I end up basing my design on covering her up. Not that I don't love my younger daughter, but I wanted to focus on my older daughter for this particular layout. Now that I have the photo matted and on that yellow gingham, I'm going to mat that yellow gingham with the coral pink solid cardstock, and then I will layer this onto the sage floral. This floral is so sweet, so cute. I love how the flowers are kind of in wavy lines going down the page. It looks like they're just drifting on the summer air. Super, super cute. After I get these layered up, I will put them on a navy solid background, and then that will be my rough design going forward. Now, like I mentioned, I have my daughter peeking in there on the photo. At first, I thought I would just play with some fussy cut florals from one of the pattern papers, and keep my daughter in the photo, but as I did this, I don't know, it just didn't go with the vibe of the papers and felt a little too silly. So I did decide to switch gears and cover my daughter, and that's where I pulled the die cuts. I'm going to use this die cut from the that looks like a little artisan label frame, and I will cover her, and then I will build some florals around that frame to finish covering her knee that's popping in there. So right now I'm just mounting this label onto some white cardstock, and then I did just pop out the center, but I'm going to pop up the center with some foam dots or foam tape just to give it a little bit more dimension. Now, one of my favorite products by Carta Bella and Echo Park are these sticker books. You get 2 sheets of all of the designs, and I like them because there's lots of die cut shapes or larger shapes that work well for scrapbookers. I'm sure they work well for card makers too, but I feel like their other die cuts are more geared towards card makers, and then this set actually is a lot better for scrapbookers. I found this script word dreamer in there. I glued this sticker onto this white cardstock, and then I just fussy cut around it with some detail scissors. I'm going to use this as part of my title, and I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do for my title at this point. I thought I might do the word Happy Dreamer with these cute circle letters that are on the chipboard sheet, but I felt like they were too colorful and might compete with all of the fussy cut florals that I wanted to add later. So I did go back to the sticker book and I found the word hello, and I did the same thing as I did with the dreamer word. I glued those to the white cardstock and then fussy cut those letters out. And the title for this page will be Hello Dreamer. I'm going to just dry fit that title into place for right now, and then I'm going to take this over to my sewing machine and stitch along the yellow gingham layer and then ruffle up the edges with my spatula. I also decided to switch the background from the plain navy cardstock to this really cute pattern paper that has the little crosses. It almost looks like a little cross stitching going on. I will go ahead and rough up the edges of these layers as well. I'm heading back to the sticker book to look for some more elements. I found this cute little Polaroid sticker. I'm going to add that as a layer behind that frame. I'm also going to pull out the large wreath sticker that I will end up using as a layer behind the top right corner of the photo. I'm just using my powder tool to take off the tackiness of the sticker, and that helps it to act like a die cut while I'm in the process of designing this layout. I wanted to add a bit more color to the artisan label shape, so I decided to go back to the sticker book, and I found this coral phrase that says "Hello there, sunshine" that I'm going to add across the bottom of that butterfly. I feel like that will help it tie into the coral batting that I did on the yellow gingham paper and just add up some more color to this part of the page. Next, I'm going to bring in all of these fussy cut florals. These were all cut out from one of the pattern papers in the collection kit. And I'm just going to start placing them around the page. I'm going to bookend my title with some of the florals, and then I will right now I'm trying to cover the knee of my daughter poking in on that photo with some of the flowers, but I do end up bringing in a chipboard camera to cover her knee. I will also bring in that chipboard yellow butterfly just to add some more dimension to that cluster. And then I will add some fussy cut florals to the top right corner of the page as well. I'm going to go ahead and start gluing down some things. I glued down the florals on the bottom, and then I'm going to add some foam tape to the back of these title pieces and adhere those along the bottom of my photo. I've created that large floral cluster in the top right corner, but it's not sitting very well with me, so I am going to use this wreath piece as a base. I will also add a few more florals in with this, and you'll see me fuss with this a lot. I kind of mess with it and come back to it and come back and forth, back and forth. So I will skip over those parts, but you will see that I will use that wreath eventually as the base piece, and then I will add in some more florals. Now right here, I'm just fussy cutting out a piece of the banner paper from a little banner strip from one of the pattern papers, and I wanted to add that below my title. So I do lift up everything and move it up slightly to allow for that. I also feel like I'm going to put my journaling along the bottom of that yellow gingham paper, so that's another reason I moved everything up, just to allow some room for that. I love how that little banner piece caps off or underlines the title and just adds some more color to that part of the page. I do go ahead and fussy cut out the center of this wreath just so I have some of the pattern paper in the background peeking through, and now I'm going to mess with these flowers some more and see if I can come up with an arrangement that feels pleasing. Chipboard butterfly down to the right side of the title, and I'm also going to add another butterfly up here in the top right corner. I will move these as round as well because I do want a butterfly in each of my embellishment clusters, but it does take me a while to decide which one I want where. I do go back to the sticker book at this point, and I want to fill out my floral cluster in the top right corner just a little bit more, so I add some tiny florals along the edges just to gradually transition that wreath into the photo mat, and then I will tuck some other small florals around the title. So far, I have some blue in my title cluster as well as that bracket piece, and I feel like the wreath cluster at the top right corner also needs some blue. So I decided to cut off this little corner of a 4x4 card and back the center of the wreath with that little piece of blue striped paper just to bring that color up into that part of the cluster as well. Once I get that into place, I will just adjust everything so that it looks okay. And then I do go back to the pattern paper and I find this beautiful blue pattern paper that has kind of a quilt-like pattern on it. And I decide that I'm going to add some torn strips to this layout. I end up tearing them into some curved shapes that kind of frame out that wreath cluster. And then I will add one to the left side of the page that frames out the title as well in the opposing corner. So I'll take a minute to do that. I love the coral pink in this collection and I wanted to add even more to this page. So I found this coral pink grid paper and I'm just going to add a strip of that along the left side. I will ink this and distress this strip as well and just adhere that into place. Here's where I start messing with the butterflies some more. I do fussy cut some out from one of the cut apart cards in the collection. I also grabbed some from the sticker book and the chipboard sheet. I'm also going to add in these little cute bees. I have a chipboard bee from the decorative brads, and then I also find some on the 12x12 sticker sheet. And I'm going to scatter those here and there around the clusters and around the title. A simple thing you can do to add more texture to your layout is just to distress the edges of your pieces with an edge distressor. Another thing I like to do is I'll use like a flat spatula and just bend up the edges. You can see how I'm doing that here. You can do that with your fingernail as well, but I like to save my fingernails, and so I just use that flat spatula to just kind of curl up the edges. Now, each of my clusters has a dark element to it. I've got that camera in the bracket along the bottom of the bracket, and then the dark florals add a dark element to each of the clusters. So here I'm just fussing with a fussy cut black bracket sentiment as well as a darker daisy, but I do decide to bring in a dark element to the top right cluster with that black today phrase sticker or word sticker, and then I also add in these little tiny black music notes, which I think looks so cute. I will add some more butterflies up there and adjust those music notes in just a moment, but for now they're just going to land there. Now I wanted to fill the bottom of the page, and so I decided to add in this sentiment strip from the sticker book. I do trim off the color from around it, and so I'm just going to ink that up and then pop that up with some foam tape. Now initially I thought I might add some more journaling below that sentiment strip, but I will come in with a journal block in a different portion of the page. At this point I wanted to add a bit of shine to my layout, so I pulled out the decorative brads. I added one to the camera lens of the chipboard camera. I add a few to the top left corner of that Polaroid piece. I will adjust those in a minute, and then I do add one down by the title. I will also end up adding one in the top right cluster as well. So here's where I bring in that journal card. This is just one I sent through my printer. It's an older one by Studio Calico, but I really liked how the mint color matched or coordinated with that minty sage green floral paper. So I just tucked that in there at an angle to break up the straight lines of the column design that I have going on. And then I'm going to anchor that with some of these banner pieces, almost like they're little washi tape strips. In fact, I will cut one of those skinnier off of camera and tear either end and use it as a washi tape strip along the across the top of that journal block, and you'll see that pop in there in a minute. I think I do that off camera, and then probably while I was is doing this splatter. Now I am bringing in some white acrylic paint. I'm going to splatter that along the edges of these straight columns, again, just to soften it and kind of connect all of those layers together. It has kind of a ethereal look as I patted it with some paper towel, and I spent quite a lot of time on that, so I did cut out part of that. So here's where you see that little thin washi tape strip pop in across the top of the journal block, and then I also adjusted some of the decorative brads in the top left corner of the Polaroid piece, and then I added another green one to the right of the pink and yellow butterfly, which is on the wreath. Here's where I adjust those music notes and add in the mint butterfly at the top. Now because I put that mint butterfly at the top, I do replace the one by the title with this other butterfly that's more of a periwinkle color, and I think that looks really pretty. So that will round out this layout. Again, this is the Carta Bella Paper Here, There, and Everywhere collection. It's so pretty, perfect for everyday layouts, for girly layouts. Just it has a really soft, ethereal, pretty feel. I hope you'll give it a chance. Be sure to stop by the Scrapbooking Cards Today Magazine blog to see my full post and more details on this layout. And again, thanks for stopping by. We'll see you next time.